Good morning, team. It is Tuesday, April 30th. I'm Amy Corr. I'm here with Kevin Van Eck, and we are at the Goose Island office. We have a great topic today. Get ready for it. We are going to talk about mistakes we are seeing agents make right now in this market. So we're going to talk to you about them, and we're going to make sure you avoid them moving forward. So grab your cup of coffee, iced tea, iced coffee.
Okay.
Water.
Sure.
Power smoothie.
The smoothie.
Water with some lemon in it.
Yeah.
Maybe some lime.
A juice?
Whatever it may be. And let's jump into the next episode of Coffee with Amy and Kevin.
Sounds good. Let's get in. Good morning, Amy.
All right.
Good morning, everyone. Let's get it started.
Let's get it started.
As Amy said, we see agents, right? We see agents from, within our local markets and across.
We hear you.
We see, we hear, we're watching.
Yeah.
But one of the things we want to help with and support you in is seeing what agents are doing that isn't necessarily productive and isn't helping agents get towards their goal of where they want to go. So let's get right into it. We got 4 hot ones today. Let's start with number 1.
All right. So first one that I thought was super critical right now is that I am seeing agents who are being order takers instead of market makers. So let's hear that again.
Love that.
Order takers instead of market makers. Are you just sitting and waiting for clients to tell you what they need and what is going to be their next move in real estate? Are you just sitting there knowing that there isn't a lot of inventory right now? So whoever is even asking you to help them, basically with real estate is limited? Or can you start thinking about changing your mindset of being a market maker, going after the market right now? Yeah. And, one of the things I talked to an agent about, which I thought was so important, is that somebody could be sitting in their home right now and, paying their mortgage every month, and maybe thinking in a couple years, we might want to make a move somewhere or do something, right? They're paying their mortgage. They're not paying attention to how much equity they have. They have no clue what's even happening in the market right now because they're not paying attention to it. They're not paying attention to it like we are, right? But what if you gave them that nudge? What if you went after them, whatever group that is, however you find them, and prompted them with the idea that this could be the time where you could make that move that you've been thinking about because it's an optimal time to take advantage of the market. So I think there's a lot of agents that are kind of sitting and waiting for the market to open up, praying more inventory comes. I just think the agents that are benefiting the most are the ones that are really saying, I'm going to figure out where to find people who don't realize now is the time that they should be looking to list their home.
Love it. Because it's not about being pushy, right? Yeah. And even though we could talk about interest rates and all of that, people are still buying and selling.
Yeah.
So there's an opportunity if you go for it.
Yeah. And the value might be there. Like, let's forgo the interest rates. If they are sitting on $200,000 or $300,000, I was listening to a story where an agent did do this. They ended up having a conversation with somebody, and their house 2 or maybe 3 years ago would have been worth $500,000.
Right.
It is now worth $750,000 to $800,000. Right. So that's
equity.
Almost $300,000 more dollars of equity that this homeowner had no clue about because they were, again, just moving along, paying their mortgage every month. Right. So it's really kind of putting that kind of information in front of people. And some might still sit and not make a move, but I guarantee you, I bet you are going to move the needle with some of those people who decide maybe now is the time.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. So be a market maker, not an order taker.
Correct.
Got it.
Yes.
It's fun to say.
Yeah.
All right. So mine, I picked up number 2, which is, there is limited inventory. The transactions have been down for a long time now, but the mistake that I'm seeing is that agents aren't utilizing their extended network. So that includes, their network, let's say with At Properties, with Christie's International Real Estate, other connections that they've made. So they're not leveraging it. They're not showing their current clientele in their local market how they can service them outside. Because there's an opportunity there. We know there are feeder markets happening. We always talk about Chicago to Naples and Southwest Florida. That's a big one, right? But there are these other movers that we call them halfbacks. And I recently learned about this when I was in North Carolina. There was a big contingency from the Northeast and even from Chicago that went to Florida. Well, what they're finding is that some of them now are looking to move back, but not all the way back. They're looking to move into other markets. So example would be Asheville, North Carolina. There's a lot of folks moving from Florida who had moved to Florida within the last 5 years and now moving to North Carolina. So there's opportunity out there, but the mistake we're seeing is that agents aren't conveying that they can service their clients outside of their immediate market. So the real challenge here for agents is to make sure that you're strengthening those connections, reach out and connect and create relationships with agents outside of your immediate market. And you're going to see things happen, and be strategic about it. Look at those feeder markets. Where do you see people going or coming from? And make a pointed, really proactive decision to create those relationships.
I love that. And I think that what agents sometimes do in this thing is they're going to hear you, Kevin, and then they're going to go out and they're going to do a huge blast and get in front of everybody and say, hey, remember me for, all of your connections here in Chicagoland, but everywhere else, right?
Yeah.
And then we aren't going to do it again. Remember, this is really like a drip campaign.
Yes.
So it's when you are really kind of going after your sphere and reminding them of this, you have to do it consistently. And then as you have opportunity to share real stories of ways in which you making those connections made people's dreams come true, it's going to remind people that, I need to keep Kevin in mind or Amy in mind or whoever in mind whenever I'm thinking about real estate, period. So
that's right. And a lot of agents are doing it really well on social.
Yeah.
They're telling those stories on social and showing their connections and relationships with other agents when they're visiting those markets or on Zoom, however they're doing it. They're doing a great job.
Yeah. Love it. All right. Well, number 3, what I kind of really have been looking at is right now, right here, right now, April 30th, 2024. We have a lot of agents that are nervous and worried and kind of freaking out in some instances. And I get it. Like, I'm not minimizing that there's a lot of noise and nuance and things that are happening in real estate right now. But we also need to make sure that we don't allow these headlines to overtake what we really need to be looking at, which is the big picture and the long game. I really think that, yes, changes are going to happen. They're already underway. Our industry there's going to be some definite changes and a new direction in certain ways. But at the end of the day, we're going to look back in 6, 9, or 12 months and we're going to say, all right, we got through that. And then we're moving on into maybe clearer territory, clearer waters. And what I worry about is that if agents are so worried about the news and what's happening right now, and we also have no control over a lot of elements of it, right? So we know what we are in control of, right? Our relationships, what our value is, how to make sure we're communicating well to our clients. There's other things we can't control. So let's not worry and freeze in this instance. I think it's looking bigger picture and longer term and saying to yourself right now, who is going to be the most effective agent on the other side? It is going to be the agents who are figuring out what is my value proposition. It's deepening my relationships right now. And it's really just getting comfortable around new conversations that we're having. So, thinking longer term. And look, in this market and in this environment, there might be business that you lose. Like, this is just a reality. There might be things where you're recognizing what my value is and the clientele that I want to work with. And not everybody may agree with that, right? And so, we might look at that and say, looking back, it wasn't my strongest year ever, but we got through it. And now we're turning a corner, right? So I just don't want us to get so caught up into what I think is going to be a blip or a period in our career and that we're all going to get through. So making sure we're focusing on how can I move forward, look bigger picture, and be prepared for, as things are changing and opportunity is presented.
Such a great observation. For anyone that's watching in 2011, everyone thought, when is this ever going to end? Is this the end of the world? Are agents done for? Real estate? Nobody's buying a home again. And look what happened. Now it almost feels like we laugh about it. But it wasn't fun at the time.
I don't know if we can say it, but maybe someday we will laugh about this too.
That's right. We will. We'll move on. But certain agents will move on. And that goes to my 4th mistake, which is I think, agents still coasting when it comes to specifically listings and listing presentations. And the reason being is that we're still coming out of 21. So a lot of agents still have the same mentality where, if I interview and I use my charm, I've got the listing. Or because I've worked with them before, or I know them well, or we went to the same college, or whatever the connection is, we're sort of sitting back. Here's the problem is that there is very little inventory. The opportunity to make sure that you control the market is through having listings, as it always has been. And so we can't sit back and not bring our A game to every listing opportunity. It's more imperative than ever to capture them and every single opportunity. And I also think, agents, we know agents are going to leave the business. So during the pandemic, current agents got into the business because maybe they got laid off. Maybe their industry was shut down. So they saw an opportunity because as agents, we were able to continue working. So they got their license. Those people that aren't continuing to grow and bringing their A game and haven't developed their skills aren't going to be in the business. So that means that the business that they would have gotten is going to somebody. You need to make sure it is you. So bring your A game, your pre-listing packet. Make sure your initial dialogue. Make sure you're using all the tools that you have to show your professionalism and how you're going to create success and everything we've always talked about forever on coffee. That's too lengthy to list right now.
Yeah, but I love that because what I always say to agents is, look, if you aren't doing it, guess what? Somebody else is, and they're the one that's going to get the business. So, you might say, do I really need to do it? What I'd be afraid of is who is doing it and is going to end up getting the business over me, right?
That's it. And the one piece you skip or you coast on could be the piece of the puzzle that helps you not only capture that listing, but generate referrals
I was going to say
from that
all
seller.
the business that comes
Yes.
afterwards. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I love it. All right. 4 things not to do, my friends. So we hope you found these valuable. Hopefully you weren't cringing. I know that, look, we all kind of have elements of this. And I think these are great refreshers or reminders of how to make sure we are making and taking the best opportunity to grow our businesses.
Right.
So on that note, make it a fabulous Tuesday. We enjoyed spending time with you. We will see you next time. But remember, until then, what, Kev?
You've got this.
That's right. You've got this.
Cheers.
Oh,
Me?
I always forget. Are we clinking? We're not clinking?
I forgot how to hold my coffee
I know.
cup
I'm like
there
wrapped
for a
around
second.
like, yes. All right. We'll see you soon.
Cheers.